So a few companies actually report earnings before the market opens tomorrow, and I thought that I would at least break down a few and make you aware. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. I really hope that you learned something new, and if you do, please consider dropping a thumbs up and subscribing if you feel like we earned it. Now, jumping on in, Spotify is one of the first ones that's going to be reporting earnings after before the market opens, actually. Tesla reports earnings after the market closes tomorrow. We'll talk about that tomorrow morning, but this is something that, again, is going to get released before the market even opens. So what is the market's expectation for Spotify? Spotify has an earnings expectation of $1.05 per share and revenue to be at $3.82 billion. Now, based off of previous earnings, they've actually been exceeding expectation for earnings per share, and revenue has been a hit or miss just depending on the quarter. The thing that I do want to quickly point out is that Spotify has been on fire for 2023 all the way up to 2024. We have seen a nearly 350% ROI, and even from current price levels, we are up over 300% from the lows that it made at $69 per share. But it is so overbought that, again, a lot of the market continues to talk about investors rotating out of big tech. Does Spotify count as big tech? Well, what exactly is going to get released tomorrow? I thought that this would be an interesting one to pay attention to because, again, it's had an amazing performance for 2023 and 2024 so far. Now, it's very overbought and it obviously offers a lot of downside potential. So this is going to be very interesting to see that by the time the market opens, and we will talk about it during tomorrow's live trading session, does this thing begin to recover back up to highs of 330, or is it going to break its support and then begin to actively trade below $300 per share and make lower lows and lower highs? No reason to try to predict the future. I'm not here to make speculations. I'm just here to provide you when it reports earnings and what the market's expectation is. There are also three other companies that are going to be reporting earnings. UPS, this one has a strong descending pattern over on the day chart with lower highs and lower lows. It's been more bearish than it has been bullish, so I just thought I'd point that out. We also have GE. GE has been very bullish, but for the past few months, it's been kind of consolidating, not really making progress on the upside, not really making progress on the downside. We will see that after it reports earnings, maybe this might change. We might gap up or we might gap down, just like we did last time it reported earnings, and it went from $170 per share all the way down to $130. And the last one that I want to talk about is GM. GM has actually had a pretty decent 2024 from lows of $26 per share all the way up to highs of 50. That's nearly a 100% ROI in just a few months. And again, this is just its performance for 2024. So again, I thought that I would point it out, especially because this earnings is very, very important. It will determine if GM continues to rally or if it begins to ultimately end up selling off. There's a lot of big players, and the thing that I want to highlight and that's significant about this earnings report versus the other ones, just think about it. Everything that's going on very, very quickly. Today's video is super short and sweet. Right now, market sits at all-time highs, and it's been here for quite some time. A lot of these companies are at all-time highs or have experienced massive recoveries and massive growth in 2024. With that being said, if investors continue to rotate out of big tech, meaning that they're pretty much locking in profits on a lot of these big tech companies, selling and putting their money in safer investments, as well as with everything that's going on with that presidential election, we will see if this is kind of like the beginning of the peak for a lot of these big tech companies. And this is what I love about these earning reports is normally these begin to be kind of the turning points of the markets when they go from bearish to bullish, or in this case, from bullish to bearish. So again, I'm very excited to follow up. No reason to predict the future. One of the things that I try to preach to all of our beginners is if this is your first time ever watching an earning report, sit back, relax, and see what presents itself. You will see the dramatic move that happens. And if you ever think, oh man, it would have been nice if I would have been invested, I want to remind you, it's always a coin flip, right? So don't feel or get FOMO if the stock that you were looking at gaps up, because just as much as it gapped up, it could have gapped down. It's a very risky time to be invested in these stocks, especially as a lot of them are at all-time highs. I'm very excited to follow up. I'd love to invite you to my live trading session tomorrow. And if you want to tune on in, it's the second link in the description down below. I hope to see you there. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.